Hey everyone, welcome back for another deep dive. Today we're taking a closer look at the Dynacone wet gas flowmeter, all about this device that is meant to, make measuring gas and liquid mixtures easier. A compact, high-tech device strapped to a pipeline. That's our Dynacone. And it tells you precisely how much gas and liquid are flowing through, even if it's all mixed up. And one thing that really jumped out at me is that it uses two separate measurement methods.
Yeah, they call it a dual element system.
So a smart cone and the pitot tube work together to give those super accurate readings. Plus, and this is a big plus, I think, no radioactive materials involved.
Definitely a plus. That dual element system is really important when you're dealing with something as complex as wet gas. I mean, imagine if you had to measure the flow of just water through a pipe.
Yeah, that's pretty straightforward, right?
Right, relatively straightforward. But wet gas, that's a whole other ballgame.
Oh, okay.
Because you've got a dynamic mix of gas and liquid hydrocarbons in there, and the proportions can change all the time. That makes it really hard to get accurate readings.
Gotcha. So that's where the Dynacone's two-pronged approach comes in, like having a double check to make sure those measurements are spot on.
Exactly. And accuracy is so important in this industry. We're not just talking about numbers on a screen. This has massive financial implications.
Oh, right, yeah.
Every cubic foot of gas, every barrel of oil, it's all worth money. So getting those measurements right is it's fundamental to allocation metering.
Allocation meter.
Which is basically making sure everyone involved gets their fair share of the profits.
Right, right. But it's got to be about more than just the money, though, right?
Oh, absolutely. Accurate measurement, it's the foundation for so much more. It's about optimizing production, managing those oil and gas reserves effectively, and ensuring the whole operation runs smoothly.
Okay, I'm starting to get the bigger picture here.
Yeah.
So tell me, what's so special about this Dynacone? The brochure uses some pretty bold language, like life of field solution.
Yes, life of field. That basically means it's built to last. And that's crucial when you think about the environment these things are in,
Yeah, rough conditions, I imagine.
We're talking about remote wellheads, often in harsh conditions. Oil and gas fields can operate for decades, and you don't want to be constantly replacing equipment out there.
Yeah, that sounds like a nightmare.
Exactly. So the Dynacone is designed to withstand all of that, and that minimizes downtime, maximizes efficiency over the long haul. I mean, think about it. If you can avoid just one costly replacement during the lifetime of a well, you could be saving millions of dollars.
Yeah, millions.
Yeah.
Okay, that's a pretty compelling argument. The brochure also highlights simple field configuration as a major benefit. Are they just trying to, appeal to the non-technical folks out there?
Not necessarily. Ease of installation and use is a big plus. You don't need a whole team of specialists to set it up. And since it requires minimal calibration, you're saving time and money on maintenance.
Okay, so it's accurate, reliable, easy to use. Sounds like they've thought of everything. Interesting. Okay, so before we got sidetracked, we're going to get into some of those challenges of wet gas measurement.
Yeah, it definitely gets a bit trickier there.
Trickier how?
Well, even with a system like the Dynacone, you're still dealing with wet gas itself. And, those changing proportions of gas and liquid, the potential for contaminants.
Well, right.
Changes in pressure, temperature, all those things, they can throw off your readings.
So you can't just set it and forget it.
Right. It's not quite that simple.
Okay.
While the Dynacone does cut down on needing constant recalibration, you still have to monitor it. And maintain it, of course.
Right, of course.
Plus, the oil and gas industry is always pushing the limits, going for deeper reservoirs, tougher environments.
Yeah.
So the technology has to keep up.
Makes sense. Which makes me think about that question in the study guide about future trends. What's next for wet gas measurement? What's coming up?
That's where it gets really interesting. We're seeing a big push towards bringing in digital tech into these systems.
Digital tech like
artificial intelligence, AI, machine learning, and the industrial Internet of Things. Those have the potential to really change how we collect and analyze and use flow data.
So these flow meters are going to get even smarter.
Absolutely. Imagine a system that doesn't just measure the flow, but can analyze the composition of the wet gas, predict problems, even optimize production, all in real time.
Ooh.
We might even see flow meters that can fix themselves, reducing manual work and downtime.
That sounds pretty futuristic.
Right, but it makes sense. The more data you have, the better decisions you can make.
Yeah, about how to manage these resources.
Exactly. And as the demand for oil and gas keeps rising, that efficiency becomes really crucial. Accurate measurement is going to be a big part of meeting those energy needs responsibly and sustainably.
Okay, so we've talked a lot about the Dynacone itself, but I want to zoom out for a second. The study guide mentions something called flow assurance.
Oh, yeah.
What is that?
Flow assurance is all about making sure the oil and gas flows smoothly, from the reservoir all the way to the end user, keeps those pipelines moving.
Sounds simple enough.
Oh, trust me, it's anything but. You're fighting against corrosion, wax buildup, hydrates, those icy plugs that can block a pipeline completely. It's this constant battle against the elements and the fluids themselves.
I see. So how does the Dynacone fit into all of this flow assurance?
It gives you the data you need to make smart decisions about keeping that flow going. By accurately measuring flow rates and what's in the fluid, operators can catch problems early, tweak things to optimize production, and take preventative measures. Avoid shutdowns.
So it's not just a measurement tool, but a part of keeping the energy flowing to power the world.
Exactly. And it all goes back to the importance of accurate data. That data is the basis for smart decisions about pipeline maintenance, resource allocation, even international trade and energy security are tied in.
Wow, I hadn't thought about it like that. It really shows how everything's connected, from this single flow meter out in the field to the global energy market.
Isn't it fascinating? And this brings us to another point in the study guide, the question of alternatives. Because the Dynacone may be a leader, but it's not the only option for measuring wet gas.
So there are other ways to measure wet gas besides this Dynacone.
Oh, yeah, for sure. There are a bunch of different technologies out there, each with their own, pros and cons.
Like what?
Well, some use ultrasonic measurements. Others use Coriolis meters. There are even some new ones coming out that use microwave technology.
Huh. Interesting. It sounds like a pretty competitive field.
Yeah.
So what makes the Dynacone stand out?
Well, from what I've seen in these materials, it seems to have a good balance, of accuracy, reliability, and being easy to use.
Yeah.
That dual element design gives you confidence in the measurements, and it's tough, so it can handle those, rough environments.
Right.
Plus, it's relatively simple to operate. That's appealing if you don't want a lot of hassle.
So it's not just the technology, but how practical it is to actually use it.
Exactly. And that's why, there's no perfect solution. The best choice depends on, a lot of things.
Like what?
The type of wet gas you're dealing with, the conditions, your overall goals.
Right. It's like picking the right tool for the job. But thinking back to those future trends, it seems like the whole field is changing rapidly. Where do you see this tech going in the next few years?
I think we're going to see a few things come together.
Okay.
First, that integration of digital tech we talked about. AI, machine learning, all that, leading to smarter systems. Ones that give you insights, not just data.
So it's not just measuring, but understanding what it all means.
Yeah. And using it to, make the whole process better.
Right.
Which leads to the second thing, data analytics becoming more important. As we get more data, we need better ways to make sense of it, dashboards, predictive models, things like that.
So we can see the patterns.
Exactly. And spot problems, make better decisions overall.
So the future of wet gas measurement is all about turning data into knowledge.
And using that knowledge to improve everything, efficiency, safety, profits.
And that'll be especially important as the energy industry keeps changing, right?
Absolutely. We're seeing a shift, toward more complex reservoirs, new types of resources, a big focus on sustainability, too.
Yeah.
Accurate wet gas measurement will be essential for all of that.
Well, I think we've covered a lot of ground today, from the nitty-gritty of the Dynacone to the big picture of energy.
Yeah, it's been a good discussion.
It really shows how something as technical as a flow meter can have, a pretty big impact.
Definitely. It's all connected in ways you might not expect.
For sure. It makes you appreciate how complex the world is. That's all the time we have for today. Until next time, keep learning, keep exploring.